It is 3 a.m. You are staring at the ceiling again, and your feet have just hit the cold floor for the third time tonight. You feel that familiar, urgent pressure. You walk to the bathroom, perhaps a bit unsteady, and wonder why, despite not drinking anything since dinner, your body seems to have produced a gallon of fluid out of thin air. I remember a specific night in the autumn of 1994. I was working late in a clinical research lab in London, looking at fluid retention data for a cardiovascular study. One of our participants, a 68-year-old retired engineer named Arthur, came to me looking absolutely grey with exhaustion. He told me, "Stephen, I'm not living. I'm just waiting for the next time I have to get up to pee." Back then, the medical textbooks told us it was just an aging bladder. They said the prostate was getting bigger, or the bladder was getting smaller. But as I looked at Arthur's data, something didn't add up. His bladder wasn't the problem. His legs were. I saw a massive discrepancy between his daytime urine output and his nighttime volume. It was as if his body was a different biological machine the moment he laid down. If you are over 60 and you are waking up 2, 3, or 4 times a night, you have likely been told the same thing Arthur was told. You've been given bladder relaxants, or told it's just part of getting older. Perhaps you've even had surgery for an enlarged prostate, only to find that the 3 a.m. wake-up calls continued unabated. I am here to tell you, after 32 years of analyzing this data, that for the vast majority of you, your 3 a.m. wake-up has almost nothing to do with your bladder. It is a biological bottleneck in your circulatory system that is being completely ignored by fast medicine culture. We are treating the storage tank, the bladder, when the real issue is the piping system, the veins. Now, before we go deep into the lab data, a necessary guardrail. I am a career researcher, a scientist of data and longevity, not your practicing physician. My goal today is to empower you with the biological why, so you can walk into your next appointment and have a much more sophisticated conversation with your doctor. Never change your medical protocol or stop a medication without professional consultation. The data I'm sharing is the result of thousands of hours of clinical observation, but it is not a substitute for a personalized medical plan. In the next 30 minutes, I am going to reveal what we call the hydrostatic loophole. I am going to show you why the fluid in your body is essentially hiding during the day, only to flood your system the moment you lay flat. By the end of this talk, you will understand why bladder problems are often actually gravity problems. Does that make sense? Now, let's look at the science they aren't telling you. The anatomy of the root cause, the spillage mechanism. To understand why you are waking up, we have to look at a cellular mechanism called capillary permeability and the venous pump. Imagine your body as a multi-story house and your heart is the water pump in the basement. In your 20s and 30s, that pump and the pipes, your veins, are incredibly elastic. They have these tiny one-way valves that fight gravity perfectly. When you walk, your calf muscles act like a second heart, squeezing the blood and fluid back up to the top floor. This is a masterpiece of biological engineering. Every step you take is a mechanical pulse that clears the fluid from your extremities. But as we hit 60 and beyond, a biological shift occurs called venous insufficiency. The valves in your legs become slightly leaky. At the same time, the integrity of your capillary walls begins to degrade. This isn't just wear and tear, it is a breakdown of the endothelial lining, the very thin layer of cells that keeps your blood inside the pipes. Here is the master-to-student metaphor to make this simple. Think of your legs during the day like a dry sponge. As you sit or stand, gravity pulls fluid out of your blood vessels and into the surrounding tissue of your lower legs. This is called peripheral edema. Because your pumps aren't as strong as they used to be, that fluid stays there. It sits in your ankles and calves like water trapped in a sponge. You might notice your socks leave a deep indentation by 5 p.m. That is the physical evidence of the sponge filling up. Your bladder is perfectly fine during the day because that fluid is locked in your legs. It's essentially off the books as far as your kidneys are concerned. But the moment you lay down to sleep, gravity stops pulling toward your feet, Suddenly, that sponge in your legs begins to drain. The fluid moves back into your bloodstream. Your blood volume actually increases while you are sleeping. This is the hydrostatic loophole. Your heart senses this extra fluid, this sudden surge of volume, and it panics slightly. It thinks, "We have too much pressure in the pipes. We have to get rid of this excess volume before the heart becomes overtaxed." The heart then releases a hormone called atrial natriuretic peptide, ANP. This hormone is the emergency signal to your kidneys. It tells them to start filtering that excess water immediately and aggressively. The result? Your kidneys work overtime while you sleep, filling your bladder in record time. You aren't waking up because your bladder is failing. You are waking up because your legs just delivered a liter of fluid to your kidneys that they couldn't handle during the day. The mainstream critique: why your doctor is missing the mark. Now, why does this matter? Because the standard of care right now is to give you a pill to calm the bladder, something like an anticholinergic. But if the bladder isn't the problem, you are just medicating a storage tank while the circulatory bottleneck gets worse. These medications often come with significant side effects for seniors, including dry mouth, constipation, and, most concerningly, cognitive decline or brain fog. I remember a golden era study from the late 80s that hinted at this. But it was buried because it was too simple. It didn't involve an expensive drug. It involved mechanical solutions and vascular health. But breakthroughs in 2024 and 2025 in microvascular dynamics have confirmed what we suspected in the labs decades ago. Managing this condition with bladder pills is the industry goal, but optimizing your fluid return is my goal. The current medical system is designed for symptom suppression. If you tell a doctor you pee at night, they look at the bladder. If you tell them your legs are swollen, they look at the heart. They rarely connect the two into a single fluid cycle investigation. Does that make sense? We have to stop thinking of our bodies as separate parts and start seeing them as a pressurized fluid system. The three-phase precision protocol, if we want to fix this, we have to use a three-phase precision protocol that addresses the fluid at the source, not at the exit. Phase 1. The invisible fix. The environmental lifestyle shift. Most people try to stop drinking water at 6 p.m. I see this every day. They think, if I don't put water in, nothing will come out. This actually makes the problem worse. When you are dehydrated, your body produces vasopressin, a hormone that causes you to hold on to fluid even more aggressively. This increases the edema in your legs and makes the urine that does reach your bladder highly concentrated and irritating, which triggers the urge to pee even more frequently. The real fix? You must pre-drain your legs before bed, 2 hours before you plan to sleep. You need to elevate your legs above your heart for 20 to 30 minutes. Not just on a footrest, but truly elevated. I'm talking about lying on a sofa with your legs up on the backrest. This allows the hydrostatic loophole to trigger while you are still awake and near a bathroom. You will likely have to use the bathroom shortly after this elevation period, and that is fluid that won't wake you up at 3 a.m. You are essentially pre-processing the nighttime flood. Phase 2. The biological catalyst, the inside-out repair. There are specific compounds that help tighten the leaky valves in your veins. In my research, we've seen incredible data on horse chestnut seed extract, standardized to esin, and micronized purified flavonoid fraction, MPFF, often known as diosmin. These nutrients act like cellular shrink wrap for your veins, reducing the pore size of your capillaries so fluid doesn't leak out as easily. This is what we call improving venous tone. Clinical data often points toward 300 milliliters of horse chestnut twice a day. But again, you must check with your doctor, especially if you are on blood thinners or have kidney issues. We are looking to improve the integrity of the pipes, so the sponge in your legs never fills up in the first place. Phase 3. The longevity rule. Protecting the infrastructure. To keep these results for the next 20 years, you have to address glycation. High blood sugar levels, even if you aren't diabetic, literally caramelize the tiny valves in your veins, making them brittle and prone to failure. Think of it like putting sugar in the gas tank of your car. By keeping your evening meals low in refined carbohydrates and sugars, you protect the elasticity of your circulatory system. I also recommend a nitric oxide boost in the afternoon, perhaps through a high-nitrate food like beets or a specific supplement, which helps keep the blood vessels dilated and moving fluid efficiently. The industry secret. Warning: the salt trap. Now, for the industry secret warning. Have you ever been told to eat less salt to stop the nighttime peeing? For many seniors, this is actually dangerous advice. If you cut your salt too low, your body produces a hormone called aldosterone, which actually causes you to retain more water and lose potassium. This hormonal rebound can actually increase the pressure in your legs and make your nocturia worse. Furthermore, low salt levels at night can trigger the sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight response, which wakes you up even if your bladder aren't full. Balance is the key, not total restriction. A small amount of sea salt with your evening meal can actually help stabilize your fluid levels. The legacy outro, a new morning. I want you to imagine yourself 30 days from now. You go to bed at 10:20 p.m. and the next thing you hear is your alarm at 6:30 a.m. You wake up feeling chemically clean because you actually finished all 4 stages of REM sleep. Your brain feels sharp, your mood is stable, and your legs feel light instead of heavy. This isn't just a dream, it's the result of respecting your body's fluid dynamics. But fixing your nocturia is only half the battle. If your venous pump is failing, it's often a primary indicator that your arterial flow is also struggling. If your circulation is sluggish, your body can't fully heal or detoxify, no matter how much you sleep. The pipes that bring oxygen in are just as important as the pipes that take fluid out. You need to see my 30-year research on the arterial scrubbing system, which I've laid out in my investigation on circulation and longevity, right here. This is the next step in rebuilding your biological foundation. I've organized the 32 years of data from today, S-Talk, into a longevity cheat sheet. For your next doctor's visit, it includes the specific clinical studies and the hydrostatic loophole diagram. Would you like me to share the link in the comments? I'm Dr. Stephen Andrews, and I'll see you in the next video.